Chris, and I want to talk to you today about how to honor your mother and father. Let's talk. So, how do you honor someone who is hurting you? Now, I get that question all the time in therapy. People are curious about, well, what do these verses really mean? What are they saying? I want to talk to you about what they're not saying. Okay, so first, before I go into the details about that, I want to start off by saying, I want you to know that everything that I say, you have to go back, use discernment, get some counsel to see where this fits in your circumstance. Because these types of conversations is not a one size fits all. And I think sometimes when we look at the internet and we find different videos, sometimes they're just very appeasing because of our certain unmet needs. And so we feel like, oh, that's the answer. But God might have you in a season that I have no idea about, right? And so you have to go back into your space and figure out, okay, God, what are you saying about this, right? How does this land for me in this particular circumstance that I'm in? Okay, so I really, really want to highlight that because I don't want us to be confused and I don't want to add more misunderstanding and misinformation to your circumstance. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is define the word honor. So honor is respecting or having a great esteem or reverence for someone. What it's not is stuffing your feelings, acting like nothing happened, harboring resentment, anger, frustration, and just unresolved issue and feelings, and really causing more pain and more strife in a relationship. That's not honoring. We have to be honest, right? In order to find peace in the relationships that we desire and the healthier relationships that we desire, we have to be honest. And part of that is redefining what honor looks like. So the word honor comes up several times in the Bible as well. There's talking about honoring your father and mother back in Exodus, and then even in Ephesians 6, and then later in Colossians 3:20 as well, they talk about how to honor your mother and father because it pleases God. So when you think about honor, you think about doing something. Well, when you think about honoring God, you think about, I'm going to keep his commandment. I'm going to follow him because this glorifies him. This pleases him, right? Regardless if I agree with it or not, it is going to give him glory, right? If I show up, if I do it the way that he desires it to be done. So that's why I say there's a nuance, right? The question is, how do I honor my parents how do I honor my parents? How do I honor my mother and my father, my caregivers, right? And most importantly, that's the question that you need to be asking, right? It's not just, okay, let me just do it my way. Because again, your way could be the stuffing your feelings and acting like no issue, or you're very vocal about stuff. And it's funny because at the end of the day, the parents and the child want a relationship, right? The parents and the child, they want a relationship. They don't know how to go about it. So the first question is, what do I need, right? What am I looking for from my parent? And sometimes you know, sometimes you don't. I do want you to sit with that question and reflect on that. Most people want safety. They want to feel cared for. They want to feel like sought after, pursued, respected themselves, right? So those are not bad things to want and to desire in a relationship with your parents. But also we have to think about, what do they need as well, right? So sometimes because parents, let's say this, parents are also wanting respect, but they don't go about it in the right ways. So for example, if you are a father and you're saying, and you haven't been in your child's life, but you're saying, oh, you should call me, you didn't call me on my birthday, you didn't check in on me and all these things, and you just have these unrealistic expectations that someone that you've hurt and that you haven't acknowledged that you've hurt is going to try to build a friendship or a relationship with you. It doesn't make any sense, right? So sometimes parents, they're really saying, hey, I want to be connected to you, but the way that they're asking or the way that they're going about it is inappropriate, right? And especially, like I said, without acknowledgement of pain and past hurts. All of us want to be acknowledged when we're offended against, when we are hurt. We want acknowledgement. I know I do, right? And so when we don't get that, that causes us to feel distant. That causes sometimes to the point of feeling rejected and feeling like, unworthy. So you really do have to think about, the parent has to think about like what's going on. But I know all of our parents don't think like that, right? This is my way, this is how it goes. If you're not calling me back, then I'm not gonna call you. And they, immature, right? They act immature. But for you, if you're thinking about this healthier context, right? I want us to keep our eyes on that, because I know what's been happening in the unhealthy context, right? It is I keep telling them this, but they keep doing that. And, I tried to communicate this, and I tried to, and so I understand all the back and forth and all the things that are going on there. But in this healthier context, you do have to consider, if you want a healthy relationship, if you do want to move towards that, and that someone is saying, okay, I want to, but they still don't know how, you do have to consider, what do they need? What does it look like for you to respect them as well, right? Even in the pain, right? In the past offenses and the things. Now, I also want to name that and exclude people who are going through active abuse, active harm, and manipulation. I'm not talking about y'all. You need to set boundaries. And sometimes those boundaries mean filing a report, right? Telling the family business. Sometimes it causes you to have to do that because, and when you do that, that does result in, it comes with a cost. It does result in a temporary loss, right? Or for you to be estranged from the family, or be the black sheep, or the person who, goes against the cultural norms, because we all are part of culture. God has created us with pleasure in our cultures. But sometimes our cultures give us messages that are not appropriate, right? And we don't want to maintain those, and you don't have to, right? So if you feel the need to say, yeah, this is happening in my family, I need to talk to a therapist, I need to talk to another family member about this, I do need to file a report because this is hurting me, then do so. But know that that does come with the risk of losing out on a temporary connection. Doesn't mean it will always be that way, but there will be people who are mad at you, people that feel like you're dishonoring them for the sake of the family. But all of that is people pleasing. And at this stage, right, because we're creating a healthier context, we're done with that. We want what we need, right? We need to pursue what we need, but we also need to pursue what honors God. And sometimes that means telling the truth, okay? So keep that in mind. Like I said, set boundaries. Boundaries are important for you, even if it does cause that separation for that moment. That's why I said asking how is the main question in all of this, right? I want to, especially for those who are like, I do want to honor God. I do want to follow his commandment in honoring my parents, but how do I do that, Lord? What does that look like for me in my circumstance? You know all the details of that, right? And you know each person's heart that's involved. So help me. How do I show up? And the last thing I want to say is that it requires you to not neglect your gifting and your calling. So a therapist actually told me this one time before, when you're feeling like, if you're a generous person, for example, and you are someone who just gives freely, right? You give with a cheerful heart, but you notice that someone isn't being receptive to you or doesn't appreciate, your gifting was given to you by God, and it's not just for you, right? It blesses you, it makes you feel good, but it's not just for you. It goes back to glorifying God. And when God is glorified, we also get the favor in that too, and the people that we are connected to also find favor, right? So we want to continue to maintain that. So don't change your gifting and your calling because someone isn't being receptive. Now, I know that is difficult. Believe me, I'm the first one to tell you, I can't. I need a day off. But that's why we talk to God. That's why we ask God for his strength, right? To enable us for supernatural power that doesn't just exist within us, because we need God. We need his help. We need his counsel, right? In order to love his people and to love them well. So I want you to know that you are who you are, and turning it off because someone doesn't receive it or is not making you feel good about it is not pleasing to the Lord. But you do need to, again, go back into that prayer closet and figure out what does that look like for me in this day, in this moment right now. Okay, but don't change who you are. Who you are is valuable, is needed in this world. And the person that you're in a relationship for, sure, there might be a temporary connection or disconnection, a temporary, I can't communicate with you right now. You're not, and again, God cares about that. He cares about all of that. Okay, and you're not going to be strike down because you're not, because you don't know how to do that, or you're struggling with doing that. That's where God's love and his grace comes in for you. Okay, so just keep in mind your story matters. What you're feeling matters, because a lot of times our families like to sweep things under the rug and act like, okay, none of this stuff matters. Like, just figure it out or just do what I did, and all of this stuff is not helping. And even the parents will tell us, if they really could get in a confession room and say what they really would say, they'd probably say it didn't work for me either. But but I did it why? Because I wanted to keep this relationship, or I wanted to please this family member. Okay? So submit yourself to the Lord in the sense of asking him how. That's humility, right? I don't know how to do this relationship. I don't know. I know I want this because we're created to belong. We're created to want relationship and be in relationship. So like, yeah, that's an innate thing for you, but how you're going about it, how that other person's going about it is not helpful for you. So again, how do we redefine what that looks like for us to be in right standing with God, and for us to be able to move forward so that we can have an honoring relationship with that person? And sometimes it takes time, okay? It takes time, and nothing's going to happen overnight. So I encourage you to get into therapy. I would love to be your therapist. Get into therapy. Talk to someone about your specific situation so that you can get the support that you need, okay? I hope that's helpful, y'all. I'll talk to you soon. Hey, thanks for checking me out today. Again, my name is Dr. Dara Winley. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. If you would like to learn more about my services, my link is in the bio, and I would love to do a free consultation with you or have a first therapy session with you. So please feel free to contact me, and I look forward to hearing from you. See you soon.